Hey, Jim Duncan with RealCentralVA.com here in Charlottesville, Virginia, doing an interview with Jason Heiser, talking about mountain biking and trails and road racing and commuting in Charlottesville. Hope you enjoy the next 10 or 12 minutes.
I'm Jason Heiser. I'm a research scientist at the University of Virginia. I've been in Charlottesville for about 10 years, but as much as anything, I am a mountain biker in town. I work with the Charlottesville Area Mountain Bike Club.
What is Charlottesville Area Mountain Bike Club?
The Charlottesville Area Mountain Bike Club, or CAMBIC as we call ourselves, is the local mountain bike club. We do advocacy work for trails in Virginia, try to keep trails open and rideable, try to make sure that mountain bikers have access to those trails, and work with land managers to build and maintain trails in the area.
How often do y'all meet?
Meetings are irregular, but we try to meet every other month or so. We often get together, spend some time talking about sort of old issues that have progressed, and any new issues that need to be worked out. Try to get volunteers for different events and discuss upcoming events. And then we usually meet at a local eatery or someplace with some tasty beverages and have some happy hour afterwards.
Are you focused on beginners, advanced, intermediate? Tell us a little bit about the makeup of the club.
The club is extremely varied. We have all kinds of people who are beginners and have been beginners for a while, and probably will not ever really go beyond that. They ride occasionally, and that's their skill level and where they have fun. We also have a big group of intermediate people and a pretty group of some hardcore people. I've been leading some rides recently that we call the Summer Epic Ride Series, where we go out to the mountains and ride for 6 hours at a time. There's also a big group of racers in the area.
6 hours sounds kind of insane, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, it is called the Epic Ride Series. We have to live up to our name.
Do you work with any other groups? You mentioned the racers. Are there other bike groups in town?
Yeah, there's a lot of different bike groups in town. There's the Charlottesville Racing Club, which puts on some races. There is the Bike Charlottesville group, which is actually sort of an umbrella club that really tries to connect all the different cycling groups in town. And they both have really good websites, the Charlottesville Racing Club and the Bike Charlottesville people, and they have a Facebook presence, so you can check that out as well.
On the mountain biking side, where do you ride? How it's sort of a two-part question. Where do you ride, and how does Charlottesville sort of rank in your mind as
the mountain biking goes? There's a number of places right in town that you can get to. You jump on your bike and ride over there, a mile or two on the pavement, depending on where you live. There's the Rivanna Trail, which is sort of 25 miles of trails all the way around town. It is, mostly single track. Single track is sort of trail that is wide enough for one person, so it can be anywhere from pretty smooth to pretty rocky and pretty challenging. There's also a place in town called Observatory Hill, which has maybe 5 miles of single track. It has not a whole lot, well, maybe it has 10 miles of single track. Not a whole lot of mileage there, but plenty of elevation, plenty of challenge. It's a local favorite. Everybody loves it. If you don't mind getting in the car a little bit, within half an hour drive, there's a couple local parks. CAMBIC works extensively on building trails and maintaining those. We've got one north of town called Pretty Creek that's going to be opening in the next few months. South of town, there's Walnut Creek. Out towards Crozet, there's Mint Springs, which has maybe 5 miles of some pretty good up and down the mountain kind of riding too. Further out, there is lots of trails in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the George Washington National Forest and the Jefferson National Forest. We talked about the Epic Ride Series, which is where those happen mostly. And there's more miles of trails than you could hit in weeks of riding.
You mentioned earlier we were talking about commuting in Charlottesville. Is it easy to commute? Is it hard, mixed? Talk a little about commuting in the Charlottesville area.
I think commuting in Charlottesville is relatively safe. No place on the pavement with vehicles going is completely safe, but I feel pretty comfortable about it. There are a couple challenges you have to think about. There's some hills in Charlottesville. It's not Pittsburgh, it's not San Francisco, but you do have to pedal a little bit to get around town. The other thing is sometimes it takes some practice and some exploration to find the path around town that is both efficient for you to get there and avoids the worst of the traffic. And sometimes there's a little compromise, especially the 29 North corridor is particularly a challenging area to bike on.
I wouldn't bike there at all.
Yeah, you have to find the alternate routes around there and the back roads to avoid the 29 street itself.
Is there a map or one location online where people can find out where to go, like where some of these tracks are, where the paths are, and specifically for the mountain biking aspect?
The Charlottesville Area Mountain Bike Club's website has lots of maps for the trails in the area, and it's also a really good connection. If you get on their email list, you can connect with people and join some group rides there. The Bike Charlottesville people have links to the area commuter maps, so you can figure out how to get around town and get some help with that and check out some streets, whether you feel safe on those streets or not.
You mentioned the email list. How many people would you say are in your club at any given time?
The Cambic Club has between 50 and 100 paid members, depending a little bit on how well the membership drive has gone recently. But the paid members is not really a good representative number of the size of our community. We have approximately 300 or 350 people on our email list, and that's really the size of the local community here that's paying attention to the emails that get sent out and are aware of the issues that are being brought to the community.
That's a good point. When you say the 300 to 350 people, is that, what kind of is that a cross section of the population, or is it UVA kids, older people, everything?
It really is everything from, we have some 65-year-old mountain bikers who are, I hate to say it, more fit than myself. We have some UVA kids that join us every year. We have the young professional crowd as well, and everything in between pretty much that you can imagine. We really don't serve just the city of Charlottesville. It's really the greater Charlottesville area, Albemarle County, and even surrounding counties.
On that, it seems like with 300 people you could put together a fair amount of community work. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of community work y'all do.
One of the big things that Cambic does is helps build and maintain trails in town. We've been working with the county on a new park that's going to be opening soon. I mentioned it earlier, Pretty Creek. In the last year, we've built approximately 5 miles of trail out there. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of distance until you realize the number of hours that's actually involved in building a mile of trail. It can be hundreds or even thousands of volunteer hours to build, miles of trail. Last year, we had, as a group, I think it was approximately 1,100 hours of trail work that we did as a group. So we are a pretty active group in that respect. We do a number of other things around town that's sort of harder to quantify how much effort and time we spend. But we do things like advocacy. We'll go as a group to Forest Service meetings to make sure that our opinion is at least known to the Forest Service groups that are managing the national forests. We work with any number of local groups. The Boys and Girls Club is a club in town that promotes cycling for underprivileged children, so we do work with those. There's a toy drive every year where we build literally thousands of bikes that have been donated by Walmart and Kmart for local kids.
Do you work with any bike shops, getting discounts on gear, rent, repair, shop time, or anything like that?
We definitely have had some specials with local bike shops where Cambic members can get discounts for the weekend. I think most recently we had a discount with the Bike Factory, and Cambic members got a 10% discount if they went in for the weekend. I would expect to see more of those in the future. So if you get to town and you're on the email list, you'll certainly be privy to that sort of information as it's available.
What sorts of questions should people ask? One of the challenges I have with my clients when they're completely new to Charlottesville is they'll say, how do I get connected? How do I tap into the Charlottesville community?
If you're here in town and you want to get connected to the Charlottesville community, as I would suggest, on your bike, get out to a group ride. I know a lot of people are concerned that they might not have the fitness level to get out and join a group ride, but you don't know that until you get out there. A lot of our group rides are actually pretty chill. They might say intermediate, but we're not going to leave anybody out in the woods to die. We're a pretty friendly group. We make sure everybody gets back to the cars and everybody is safe. The worst that happens is you get a little fitter that day and you've had a challenging workout. And hopefully you'll meet some people and they'll tell you, these are the rides or whatever that are, more geared towards your fitness level. Maybe you're too fit for that group and you want to get, hooked up with a more advanced group. It happens all the time. So don't be afraid to get out there and join and actually participate. And another piece of advice I have would be to, really take a childlike perspective to town and really try to get out and explore. There's a lot of people in town that have their favorite loop and they ride it all the time and they're happy, but they don't know about the gem that they're missing just, miles away. So really get out and try to explore and find those new areas.
Is there anything special or particular you'd like to tell people about the Charlottesville Albemarle Mountain Biking Club?
No, just it's a friendly group of people. Maybe I'll add a note about another club in town. The Charlottesville Bike Polo Club has recently become formed, and it's a ton of fun to get out and play polo on your bike. Do a Google search for that, and you'll find us right away. And come out and play some polo.
Bike polo?
Bike polo. It's just like it sounds, just like horse polo, except you ride your bike instead of riding a horse.
Is it better than Segway polo?
I've never played Segway polo, but I've got to assume that. 2 big wheels better than 2 little wheels must be.
Where do y'all? That's because they have Segway polo in Crozet a couple times a year.
Oh, do they now?
It's amazing to watch.
Well, if you don't have a Segway, you can come out to the bike polo.
Where do y'all play? I mean,
we've been playing over at McIntyre Park when the weather and the daylight are appropriate. We've also been working with UVA that we can play inside one of their garages when the weather is not quite so favorable. If it rains or it gets dark too early to play.
Sounds so incredibly dangerous. Indoor bike polo.
We have surprisingly few injuries. Every once in a while somebody drops their bike and has to, take a quick dismount, but haven't really seen anybody hurt.
It's fascinating. Well, Jason, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
This is presented by Jim Duncan with RealCentralVA.com here in Charlottesville.